Greyscale World Musical about design, creativity, and innovation in the creative capital of New England, Providence, Rhode Island. Here are Greyscale World Musical backstory ideas for four main characters: Emily, Alex, Lori, and Mark. Emily backstory ideas. Emily clutched the dried petals of the rose she received on Rose Day, a bittersweet memento of her time at the Rhode Island School of Design. Just a few weeks ago, the campus buzzed with excitement, the air thick with the scent of flowers and the promise of futures unfolding. Now, the reality of post-graduation had settled in like the persistent dampness of a Providence spring. Emily grew up in a small, unassuming town in rural Pennsylvania. Her parents, a middle school science teacher and a librarian, always fostered her creativity, though they didn't quite understand her intense passion for the tangible. While other kids played sports or video games, Emily was happiest surrounded by scraps of fabric, discarded cardboard, and her well-worn set of colored pencils. She spent hours transforming these humble materials into fantastical creatures and miniature worlds. Her grandmother, a seamstress who had emigrated from Italy, taught her the basics of sewing and instilled in her a deep appreciation for craftsmanship and detail. High school art classes were a revelation. For the first time, Emily found a community of like-minded individuals who spoke her language of line, form, and color. She devoured art history books, fascinated by the stories behind iconic designs and the power of visual communication. RISD became her singular focus, a beacon of possibility in her quiet life. Getting into RISD felt like a dream come true. She majored in industrial design, drawn to the challenge of creating objects that were both aesthetically pleasing and functionally sound. Her time there was a whirlwind of intense critiques, late-night studio sessions fueled by lukewarm coffee, and the exhilarating rush of finally cracking a design problem. She thrived in the demanding environment, pushing her creative boundaries and learning to articulate her vision with confidence. RISD wasn't without its challenges. The pressure to constantly innovate and the constant comparisons to her incredibly talented peers sometimes left her feeling inadequate. There were moments of self-doubt where she questioned her abilities and wondered if she truly had what it took to succeed in the competitive world of design. But the supportive community of her cohort and the guidance of her professors always pulled her through. Rose Day, the annual tradition where graduating seniors receive a single long-stemmed rose, felt like a poignant culmination of those years. Holding the velvety bloom, Emily felt a surge of pride for what she had accomplished, mixed with a healthy dose of trepidation about what lay ahead. Now, living in a small, slightly drafty apartment in the Federal Hill neighborhood of Providence, Emily is navigating the daunting task of launching her design career. She spends her days hunched over her laptop, crafting compelling cover letters and meticulously curating her online portfolio. She attends networking events, feeling a mix of excitement and awkwardness as she tries to connect with established designers. The rejections sting, even though she tries to tell herself it's part of the process. The silence after sending out applications is deafening. There are days when doubt creeps in, whispering that maybe she should have pursued a more practical path. To combat these feelings, Emily relies on the resilience she developed at RISD. She sketches in her notebook every day, even if it's just for 15 minutes, keeping her creative muscles flexed. She meets up with fellow RISD alumni for coffee, sharing stories of their job search woes and celebrating small victories. She explores Providence, finding inspiration in the city's blend of historic architecture and vibrant contemporary art scene. The gritty charm of the jewelry district, with its echoes of industrial past, particularly resonates with her as an industrial designer. Emily also finds solace in the small rituals she established during her time at RISD. She starts each morning with a strong cup of coffee and a quick review of her goals for the day. She takes breaks to walk along the Providence River, watching the boats and the changing light. And in the evenings, she often works on personal design projects, allowing herself the freedom to experiment without the pressure of deadlines or client expectations. The dried rose from Rose Day sits on her desk, a reminder of her journey so far and the potential that lies ahead. Emily knows the path won't be easy, but she's armed with a world-class education, a fierce passion for design, and the unwavering spirit of a RISD graduate ready to make her mark on the world, one thoughtfully designed object at a time. She's learning to embrace the uncertainty, trusting in her skills and the vibrant creative energy of Providence to guide her way. Backstory ideas for Alex. The rhythmic clang of the Trinity Square clock tower striking noon was a sound Alex had known his entire life. It was as familiar as his mother's laugh, or the distant hum of the I-95 that always seemed to be present in the background of his childhood in South Providence. Alex was Providence through and through. His family had been part of the city's fabric for generations, tracing their roots back to the vibrant community that blossomed in the West End and Fox Point. Growing up, Alex's world was a symphony of Providence sounds. The lively chatter and clatter of the Olneyville Square Market on a Saturday morning, the mournful foghorn echoing across Narragansett Bay, the spirited shouts and bouncing basketballs from the courts at Roger Williams Park. These weren't just background noise. They were the raw materials of his sonic imagination. His grandfather, a retired postal worker who always had a transistor radio glued to his ear, instilled in him a deep appreciation for music of all genres, from classic soul and funk to the burgeoning hip-hop scene of the late 80s and early 90s. His grandmother, a deaconess at the local Baptist church, filled their home with the rich harmonies of gospel music. These early influences laid the foundation for Alex's eclectic taste and his understanding of music as a powerful form of storytelling. As a kid, Alex wasn't just listening, he was recording. He'd sneak his dad's old cassette recorder to the park, to the schoolyard, even to family gatherings, capturing snippets of conversations, the whoosh of passing cars on Broad Street, the rhythmic drumming of rain on the awning of the corner store. He wasn't sure what he was going to do with these sounds, but he felt an innate pull towards them, a sense that they held a unique energy and narrative. In high school, Alex gravitated towards the burgeoning DJ scene in Providence. He started out spinning records at house parties and community events, his sets reflecting the diverse sonic landscape of his upbringing. He wasn't just playing songs, he was weaving tapestries of sound, blending genres and tempos in unexpected ways. He earned the nickname Frequency for his uncanny ability to find the perfect beat and create an atmosphere that was both energetic and deeply rooted in the Providence vibe. His fascination with sound extended beyond DJing. He began experimenting with the recordings he had collected over the years, layering them, manipulating them, and weaving them into his DJ sets. He saw the potential to create music that was uniquely Providence, a sonic portrait of the city built from its own distinct sounds. While some of his peers looked to New York or Boston for inspiration, Alex found his muse right here at home. The clang of the trolley bells on College Hill became a percussive element in one of his tracks. The rhythmic churning of the machinery at a local textile mill formed the backbone of another. He even sampled the distinctive call of the vendors at the Waterfire events, transforming the familiar sounds into something new and captivating. Alex's ideas about sound went beyond simply incorporating local noises into traditional musical structures. He saw sound as a living entity, constantly evolving and reflecting the energy of its environment. He believed that by carefully listening to and manipulating the sounds of Providence, he could capture its essence, its history, and its unique character in his music. He started doing sound design work for local theater productions and independent films, his ability to evoke a sense of place through sound making him a sought-after collaborator. He could recreate the bustling atmosphere of Kennedy Plaza with a few carefully chosen recordings or conjure the eerie silence of a winter night on Benefit Street. Alex is deeply connected to the Providence community. He volunteers at local youth centers, teaching kids about DJing and sound design, hoping to inspire the next generation of sonic storytellers. He believes that the sounds of a city are its collective memory, and he sees his work as a way of preserving and celebrating that memory, while also pushing the boundaries of what music and sound design can be. He's proud to be a black artist from Providence, and his work often subtly weaves in the rhythms and textures of the African diaspora, connecting his personal history with the broader sonic landscape of the city he calls home. For Alex, every creaking floorboard, every passing siren, every snippet of overheard conversation is a potential note in the ongoing symphony of Providence. Backstory ideas for Lori. Lori's hands, often dusted with vibrant pigments, felt most at home against the rough texture of a brick wall in Providence. For her, the city wasn't just a backdrop. It was a sprawling canvas waiting to be brought to life with color and story. Born in the United States to parents who immigrated from Taiwan in the late 1980s, Lori grew up navigating two distinct cultural landscapes. Her childhood in a quiet suburb outside of Providence was filled with the aromas of her mother's cooking and the melodic tones of Mandarin, while her school days immersed her in American pop culture and history. This duality became a subtle but persistent undercurrent in her artistic expression. Lori's artistic inclinations were evident early on. While other kids doodled in the margins of their notebooks, Lori filled entire sketchbooks with intricate drawings and vibrant color studies. Her parents, both engineers, encouraged her creativity, seeing it as a valuable form of expression, even if it wasn't their primary field. Choosing Brown University for her undergraduate studies felt like a natural fit. She was drawn to the university's open curriculum, which allowed her to explore her burgeoning interest in art alongside subjects like urban studies and cultural anthropology. It was during her time at Brown that Lori first became captivated by the power of public art. Walking through the streets of Providence, she was struck by the murals that dotted the cityscape, transforming ordinary walls into vibrant narratives and sparking conversations within the community. Inspired, Lori began experimenting with large-scale art projects. She started small, painting murals in community gardens and on the walls of local businesses that were willing to give a student a chance. These early experiences were formative, teaching her not only the technical aspects of mural painting, but also the importance of engaging with the community and creating art that resonated with the people who lived and worked in the neighborhood. After graduating from Brown, Lori could have followed many paths. Her degree opened doors to various fields, but her heart remained firmly set on creating art. She decided to stay in Providence, a city she had grown to love for its blend of historic charm and contemporary energy, its thriving arts scene, and its diverse communities. Lori's artistic style is a unique fusion of influences. Her cultural heritage often subtly informs her color palettes and the symbolic elements she incorporates into her work. You might see the flowing lines reminiscent of traditional Chinese brushstrokes integrated with the bold, graphic style of contemporary street art. Her background in urban studies also plays a role, as she often explores themes of community, identity, and the relationship between people and their urban environment. What sets Laurie apart is her conceptual approach to muralism. She doesn't just want to create visually appealing images. She wants her murals to tell stories, to spark dialogue, and to offer viewers a new way of seeing their city. One of her recent projects, for example, transformed a drab concrete wall into a vibrant tapestry of interconnected hands, each representing a different community within Providence, highlighting the city's diversity and the power of collaboration. Another mural features abstract geometric shapes that, upon closer inspection, reveal themselves to be stylized representations of the architectural blueprints of historic Providence buildings, and nod to the city's rich history and its ongoing evolution. Laurie spends considerable time researching the history and context of the locations where she paints, ensuring that her work is not just visually striking, but also meaningful and relevant to the community. Laurie is driven by the belief that public art has the power to transform spaces and connect people. She sees her murals as a way to inject beauty and thought-provoking imagery into the everyday lives of Providence residents. She enjoys the collaborative aspect of her work, often engaging with community members throughout the design and painting process, ensuring that the final piece reflects their voices and experiences. And one, Laurie Petty Partners, exploring backstory ideas for Mark. Mark had always seen the world a little differently. Even as a kid growing up in the more suburban outskirts of Rhode Island, a quick drive into Providence felt like stepping into a hidden world. While his friends were drawn to the beaches and forests, Mark found himself captivated by the intricate dance of steel and brick, the way light played across weathered facades, and the unexpected beauty tucked away in forgotten corners. His initial foray into photography was almost accidental. In his late teens, he inherited his grandfather's old film camera, a heavy, solid thing that felt like a relic from another era. He started by documenting his friends and family, but soon his lens turned towards the urban landscape of Providence. He was drawn to the way the city's history was etched into its architecture, from the grand Victorian homes on the east side to the sturdy brick mill buildings along the Woonasquatucket River. Unlike many photographers who sought out the postcard-perfect views of the city, Mark was more interested in the in-between spaces, the overlooked details. He'd spend hours wandering the back alleys of Federal Hill, fascinated by the textures of graffiti-covered walls and the way sunlight filtered through fire escapes. He'd climb to the top levels of parking garages, not for the panoramic vista everyone else captured, but to isolate a specific architectural detail or the unexpected juxtaposition of shapes and lines. His ideas about color were equally unconventional. While some photographers aim for vibrant, true-to-life hues, Mark often manipulated his colors in post-processing to emphasize certain moods or to draw attention to elements that might otherwise go unnoticed. Sometimes he'd desaturate an image almost entirely, allowing the stark forms and shadows to take center stage. Other times, he'd amplify specific tones, perhaps highlighting the unexpected warmth of rust against a cool blue sky, or the electric glow of a neon sign against the twilight. He wasn't necessarily trying to create a hyper-realistic depiction of Providence. Instead, he was using color as another tool to interpret and reimagine the city. His early photography was a solitary pursuit, a way for him to process and understand the world around him. He worked various odd jobs in his 20s, from barista to bookstore clerk, always saving enough money to buy film and develop his prints. He haunted used bookstores, poring over photography books and studying the work of artists who pushed the boundaries of perspective and color. In his early 30s, Mark decided to take his passion more seriously. He invested in digital equipment and started showcasing his work online. He began to attract a small but dedicated following, people who appreciated his unique vision of Providence. They commented on his ability to find beauty in the mundane and to reveal perspectives they had never considered, even though they might walk those same streets every day. He started getting freelance gigs, photographing local businesses and events, always managing to inject his distinctive style into his commercial work. He found a small studio space in a converted mill building in the Valley neighborhood, a place with high ceilings and large windows that flooded the space with natural light. It became his sanctuary, a place where he could experiment and refine his craft. Mark's work isn't about capturing the most iconic landmarks in their most flattering light. It's about slowing down, observing, and finding the hidden poetry in the everyday fabric of Providence. He might spend an entire afternoon photographing the way shadows fall across the brickwork of a particular building at a specific time of day, or he might focus his lens on the intricate patterns created by the reflections in a rain-slicked street. He sees the city as a constantly evolving canvas, and his photography is his way of documenting and interpreting its subtle shifts and hidden narratives. He enjoys the quiet satisfaction of showing people a view of their own city that they never knew existed, prompting them to look a little closer and appreciate the unexpected beauty that surrounds them. For Mark, Providence isn't just a place he lives. It's an endless source of visual inspiration, a city waiting to be rediscovered, one frame at a time.